Welcome to Hippo CMMS, an iOffice company. My name is Kalechi. I'm a senior software specialist at Hippo. And in this session, we're going to be going over a quick demo of two of the software's main features. We're going to be looking at work order management. We're also going to be looking at preventive maintenance, or PMs for short. Now at Hippo, we look at CMMS and try to make it as user-friendly as possible. And that's actually made us an industry leader in the CMMS space for being the most user-friendly and also providing award-winning customer support. So for each customer of Hippo, they have a cloud-based system that they can access from anywhere. They also have access to our award-winning customer success team. And that's also something that's really important to us as well, because we want to make sure that we help provide these resources and the tools to make each of our 1,400 plus customers successful long-term and see the benefits of what CMMS has to offer. And there's definitely a number of benefits that are available. We'll be going over the session today at a high level, looking at some of what the work order management and preventive maintenance looks like in Hippo. And the benefits from the two functions will be something that you'll see throughout the session here. But as we go through those two features, you'll also see it tie in with some of the other components of the software as well. So it's really designed in a way so that it's intuitive and simple to get the information that you need and also communicate effectively between users. So you'll see some of that here as we go through today's session. And if you want to see more of the software and get a more in-depth look, definitely get in contact with us and we can have a personal live software demonstration scheduled for you. So let's actually jump into the software here, and I'm already signed in. So the first screen that we're brought to here is actually our dashboard, and our dashboard in this example is for our demo database, Hippo Enterprises. So we have a few different facilities we can explore. I'm going to go into this one called Hippo Plant here, and so if we select that, we're now brought to a dashboard of the specific work orders that are open in this facility. And it looks like we have quite a bit going on. We have what we call demand work orders at the top here, some PM work orders going further down. So in Hippo, there's two ways to generate work orders in the system. You have your demand work orders for reactive maintenance and unplanned breakdowns. Then you also have your PM work orders for your preventive maintenance. These you can set to ongoing schedules, whether it's based off of your calendar or meter-based schedules for meter readings that you're recording. So we'll start with using demand work orders for reactive maintenance and unplanned breakdowns. So in your users, you can actually have different user features enabled for each person signing in. Here I'm logged in with all the different tools and options available. And we'll start with one option here called submit work order. So with submit work order, you'll see that this gives us a blank work order form. Once we fill this out, it gets added directly to the dashboard with our other work orders here. And with Hippo, we wanted to make this as simple as possible. So you'll see that there's a number of options to choose from, but it's really just the three highlighted fields that are the only required steps: work order name, asset selection, and then a description of what happened. So let's say, for example, Hank has a broken light in his office and wants to get it fixed. We'll call this something like fix broken light as the work order name. We'll associate this to his office for Hank's office there, and then just a brief description. So we'll say that this light fixture stopped working. So you'll see once those three steps are completed, we can now submit this and add it to the dashboard. Some other tools that you have available is for incorporating the work order to either third-party contacts or assigning directly to other users in the system like technicians. Company contacts is where you can save your go-to list of contacts, whether those are vendors or service contractors, and simply send them an email copy of the work order you created. Alternatively, you can also assign work orders to your technicians, which is listed here under resources. So assign a work order directly to another user that you want to respond to that work order. So that's a quick, simple way of creating a new work order and adding it to the dashboard. Now, you may also have other staff members who aren't directly involved in maintenance, but want some way to communicate to the maintenance team what's going on or what issues that they're having throughout the facility. So another option that we have here is called submit request. You'll see when we select submit request, this generates a work order request portal. With this feature, you can empower other staff to report breakdowns that they notice throughout the facility, essentially working as an extra set of eyes to let you know about maintenance issues as they're occurring. The difference is that you can create logins called requesters that you can have set up for the staff to use this work order request portal specifically. That way you don't have to worry about adding additional users to your licensing and increasing your cost. So for example, let's say we're signing in as a requester rather than a user. I'm going to bring up a new window here. So this is our login screen, and this time I'm going to sign in as a requester. And requesters can be individual logins, or they can be general logins for the facility. Here I'm going to use a general login that I set up, so it's not assigned to any particular person. You'll notice when we sign in this time, it brings us straight to that same work order request portal. So their experience with the software is essentially this screen here. Now the requester can put in their contact name or information. If they're using a personal login, this would auto-populate those contact details, including their name. But here I'm just going to type that in, and then we're going to put in the same information that we put in the submit work order form. I'm going to put in a request for Hippo plant, and just like on the work order form, we can select a location, equipment, or vehicle. So by explaining where the issue is taking place and selecting the location, I can communicate where I want the issue to be addressed in the facility. Then adding a description, we can type in what happened. So we'll say that the light is not working properly. And you'll see that there's some other options further down, like adding in attached files. So with any attached files, maybe pictures you've taken or short videos you've recorded, that can also be incorporated into the request. So you can give more of a visual explanation of what's not working. So here for this light fixture, maybe I've taken a picture of that light and we want to add that into the request here. So I have a saved picture of that broken light. Keep in mind, if we're using the web browser on our phones or tablets, there's a built-in camera. You can also take a picture directly from your device and also add that to the request from there. So once our request is completed, we'll simply hit submit. And as you can see, it's notified us that the request was logged successfully. So with the requesters, they can submit in their request. Their email address will give them updates to what the response is from the actual users in the software. And you can determine which users among your team are going to be seeing those requests as they come into Hippo. You can get notifications in real time when requests are submitted. And then deciding whether they're approved or rejected, the staff will have an email update sent to them directly in their inbox. Another option is that you can also have them be able to view history. So from this screen, they can also go into their records of previous requests and see the live status of that request as well. They can see which ones are pending approval, which ones have been approved in their work order status. They can also see ones that have been rejected and the reason why they were rejected. So we'll go away from the work order request portal here for the requesters, and we'll go back to our user view here as a user. So one of the other tools that users will have access to is seeing those work order requests in the menu here. So right now we can see that there are 6 requests that are pending approval for the Hippo plant. We'll refresh this here, and we'll see that this gets updated. And now we have 7 requests for the new one that we just submitted for Hank's broken light there. So you'll see that your work order requests that are pending approval, they'll be added to a separate list away from your dashboard. And this is a way to help with managing requests from different staff members across the facility, rather than having them mixed in with your active work orders that are currently being in place. So here we can see that we have the request from Hank at the top of our list here for that broken fixture, broken light fixture. We have all the same information that we can view here, and we have the options to approve or reject. So you'll see with the red X that the reject option comes with a message field for the reason why it's being rejected. This will then go back to the email on that corresponding request. So not only are you able to notify them of what request was rejected, but also the reason why, and so you can explain further. If we do choose to approve the request, we're going to hit the green checkbox here. And you'll notice with the green checkbox that this now brings us into submit work order. So now this time with submit work order, the requester has actually filled in a number of fields for us from the request portal. So now Hippo's matching that same information for us. We can see the location that was selected, in this case, it's Hank's office. We have the description that they provided and the contact information and the attachments as well. So we can actually see what that broken lamp or broken light fixture looks like. So you have all the information already carried over to the work order. Really, the only required step that's left here is just adding the work order name. You'll see next to the work order name, however, we do also have an option to populate work orders using pre-made templates. So you can create your own list of work order templates to standardize different responses to maintenance issues. You also can create work order templates for your preventive maintenance as well, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So here we have a few different examples of work order templates. We actually have one for addressing light fixtures in the facility. So I'll add this change light bulb template. You see that now updates the work order, but still keeps the same information from the requester. So this helps me fill in work orders with the appropriate information, proper steps and procedures. And this can even include things like a task list of what steps to follow. So all of this gets outlined in your templates, and then you can apply them to the appropriate situations. Here, I'm going to assign this work order to a resource. And for the sake of the demo, I'll assign it to myself as the resource. So once you've assigned out work orders, keep in mind that you can also have push notifications sent to users via the app. So that's the reason why I'm assigning it to myself in this case. We go to my iPhone here. And what I'll do is I'll turn on my notifications while I'm in the app here. So here I'm opening the Hippo mobile app with our open work orders here. I've assigned myself a new work order to respond to. So as soon as I've been assigned that work order, you see I got a new push notification letting me know about this work order that's been created. And it's for changing a light bulb in Hank's office. So right from that notification, I can get working on that issue for Hank. I can see all the same details and information. And all of the actions are on the first tab of the work order. So we can see the same information that was provided by Hank, including that image of the broken lamp here. I can make updates to the work order. So I'll say that I'm working on this right now. We'll do a quick status change to in progress there. The resource section will have my name here listed as the resource. So for the person that's assigned to the work order, whether it's a technician or a maintenance engineer, by selecting their name, they can also use this to add in the time that they've spent on work orders. So logging time can also be done via the mobile app as well. I can either manually enter my time once I'm done, or you also have a self-timer feature, which can run in the background. So once I've saved those updates on the work order, you'll see under the More tab, it's showing those notifications of what changes have been made. It saved my change on the change light bulb work order. It's also letting me know that I still have my timer running in the background as well. So that way I don't forget to go back to that work order, stop that timer, and then apply it to the information that I've added to my work order here. Now, if we look into our preventive maintenance work orders, we'll see that they have a very similar structure to our demand work orders. I can even see here on my overdue list, I have a number of work orders marked PM for preventive maintenance, and I have a lot of the same information fields and action items. So the way that we create our PM work orders in Hippo is rather than using the submit tools, we'll actually be going into some of the admin tools that we have available, which is on the facility admin panel here on the left. So for admin users or those that you want to be able to manage administrative features in Hippo, you'll see that facility admin expands open with some additional options here. So one of those options is going to be a tool that's called scheduled work orders. So here we're brought to our scheduled work orders for the Hippo plant. And to create a new scheduled work order, we're going to go to the plus button here on the top right corner. You'll see that once we have created a new scheduled work order, we can either start from scratch, or just like with the demand work orders, you can work from a list of pre-populated templates that you've created. So here, we'll use one of our quarterly inspection template examples here. You'll see that that now adds a new row to your scheduled work orders and applies the template information in that row. But from this, we can still make modifications and changes if needed. So if I wanted to modify certain fields or add additional information, that in no way will modify or change my template, but I can use this to make my particular scheduled work order more specific to what I want to apply it to. In this case, it's one of our AC units on the roof. So I'll apply this to that AC unit in our asset list there. Scrolling further to the right, you'll see that there's some additional options like a description field. You can create your own list of work categories to help group or sort the different maintenance you're doing. And the main change here is our schedule tool. So the schedule tool is what's going to be used to generate the PM work orders onto your dashboard. Again, you can either have calendar-based schedules or meter-based ones. You'll see a few different examples of that in the list here. So it looks like on this template, we already have a schedule that's in place. But we can still look at that schedule, make modifications to it, and you have a variety of options to choose from for how the scheduling is implemented, whether it's by different frequencies, even specific dates in the year. It's really up to you. Looks like in this example, they chose monthly schedules and selected, looks like 1 month each quarter, since this is a quarterly inspection. They even decided what date it falls on, and that can either be a certain date in the month. But in this case, it looks like they chose the first Monday of each month, and that helps to avoid weekends and maybe certain dates we don't need to do preventive maintenance. I'll add an end date to the schedule here. So maybe we only wanted to have a schedule for 1 year. So we put in that end date here. You can also add in things like reminders as well, being that each of these is happening once a quarter. Maybe we need a little bit of a heads up before the next one happens. So validate will just update that schedule with the changes that are made. And now we can see that schedule being applied on our dashboard. Going further to the right, we can see that there's other tools to incorporate as well. So things like the task list can also be managed from here. This is where you can determine what steps need to be followed. We can assign a schedule to people on our resource list. So this will generate the work order and automatically assign it to the appropriate users that you've selected. Of course, if you leave it unassigned, then it becomes an unassigned work order, and you can assign it once it generates. You'll see that there's even more options further to the right here with lockout procedures, job hazards to be aware of, and also third-party contact information. So for any preventive maintenance that we have contracted out through vendors or service providers, those schedules can also be outlined and managed here as well. Going back to our dashboard, we can look at how to now respond to these preventive maintenance work orders once they've been assigned out. So for example, with this quarterly HVAC inspection, this is what the result looks like once it's been generated onto the dashboard. So the same information that was selected is now appearing here in the work order. You'll see many of the fields are pre-populated and locked to what the schedule has outlined. So once you've created your schedule, Hippo matches those fields for you, makes sure that the information is correct. We have the task list available here. And what I'll do is I'll assign this PM work order to myself as the resource. So we'll remove Mike here and I'll add in my username. This again will assign it to myself to respond to. Once again, you'll see we received that push notification to respond to that inspection. So that's just one way that users can be notified of both demand and PM work orders that they've been assigned to respond to. But in the case of equipment that we need to respond to, you also can have barcodes tied to your equipment. So let's say, for example, we're responding to the quarterly inspection on that HVAC unit. In this case, we also have an option on the mobile app called Scan. So if I go to that rooftop and go to service that HVAC unit, we'll hit the Scan button at the bottom of the menu and go right up to that barcode. As soon as we get that barcode in frame, you'll see it pulls up all of the equipment details for the user. So while they're out in the field, they can also scan barcodes for equipment that are in the Hippo system and use that as a shortcut tool to find relevant information and also find relevant work orders that they need to get started to. And as you can see, we have that quarterly HVAC inspection also there as well. Keep in mind that if we're on the rooftop, and this might happen in your facility as well, where there's certain areas where your staff or your technicians lose reception on their mobile devices. Maybe the Wi-Fi doesn't go all the way out to the roof or out to certain fields, or maybe you lose cell reception altogether. Keep in mind with the Hippo mobile app, you also can work offline and still manage work orders and scan barcodes. It'll just be when you get back to your Wi-Fi network or cellular network that those changes that you've made will then resync to the database. So here we have that quarterly HVAC inspection. Once again, we can update this to in progress once we've started. I'll also start that timer in the background as well before I do anything else. So once we have that running in the background here, we can go into our task list. We can start to mark off the tasks as we complete them. Certain tasks, if you come across certain issues or want to note anything, keep in mind that you also have some different tools on the right-hand side. You have one here for adding in comments or adding attachments related to certain tasks. So for each comment, we can either type in what's happening or use the microphone of the device to do talk to text. Waiting on a belt replacement. So that comment can get added to the task and be visible to other users. If certain issues may involve us maybe adding a picture, then go to your attachment and say add attachment. This way you can go straight to your photo library or use the camera on your device to attach a picture as well. So once we've completed our PM work order, we can also note additional information like parts that were used. We can see what we have on hand. I can report what I've taken out of stock. And you can also manage your quantity levels with min-max levels to determine what the reorder point should be. So before this belt reaches 0, certain users can receive real-time notifications letting them know about parts that need to be reordered. So as soon as we're done with the work order and we're ready to mark it completed, we'll simply go back to our status field here and update this work order as completed. If we filled in all the correct fields, then we can also hit save. Now it looks like in this database, we've set a few required fields that need to be entered before we close out this work order. And you can do the same with your database as well to ensure that your information is accurate. So here in this example, looks like we've made the resource field required to enter in their time before closing this out. So if you remember, I had the timer running in the background, but because I didn't stop it, it doesn't have a time log. So I'll hit stop now. And by hitting done, that now logs the time to my name here as the resource. So we have that time saved. Now we can mark this as a completed work order. Now we've closed out that inspection. We also have the changed light bulb work order from earlier. We'll mark this as completed, and we'll also make sure to report that we took out a light bulb. Once again, we have a few sections that we didn't complete, so it's letting us know what fields we need to walk through. In this case, we have to make sure to add a comment, and we also have to make sure that we log in our time. So here, what we'll do is we'll manually enter in the time here. Say it took half an hour. And we'll also add in a comment. Changed out the light bulb. Light fixture is now working. So our comment is done. Our work order is done. And now those are both saved in our Hippo system as completed work orders. So once we're finished with our work orders, they're now saved in the history records of your Hippo database. We can actually switch to different dashboard views to review that history. One option is your KPI dashboard, which looks at the completed records of work orders. We can see here on our KPI dashboard what we've completed so far for the month, including the 2 work orders that we just completed on my account here. But we can also change that time frame, looking at different months or looking at the entire year, for example. It'll update those KPIs for you, help you identify how well we're handling our workload. And also, we can look at reports related to our current work orders. Looks like here we have a large backlog of preventive maintenance. And we can also look at trends on our equipment, downtime information, frequency of breakdowns on demand work orders for certain equipment, and also costing related to work order information as well. On our calendar dashboard, we can also look at the work order information from this view, as well as the standard view, which gave us that list. From here, we can see the same work order information. We can open work orders and update them. And for those that are authorized to edit work order scheduling, we can also take work orders and drag and drop them to different dates when they need to be rescheduled. From this view, we can also filter and search our dashboards. So here we can look at our completed work orders, and we can see both the inspection and light bulb change that was completed. So these are just some of the examples of what Hippo has to offer for work order management. Keep in mind, there's much, much more we can go into. And if you want to see more, definitely get in contact with us so we can schedule a live software demonstration with you. We have information available on our website to book meetings or watch demo recordings. Feel free to fill out a schedule live demo, and an account executive will get in contact with you to schedule the best time that works best for you. Appreciate everyone joining in on today's session here. Again, my name is Kelechi. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.